Hi friends, in this video we're going to be looking inside the Story of the Bible, Volume 1, the Old Testament. This is published by Tan Books. This is not a review. I have not used it yet. We are going to be using it this year in our homeschool, but I thought I would do a little look inside to show you guys the formatting, how it's set up, get a feel for all the lessons. And I want to do that before I start taking some of the activity book pages out and making copies and stuff. So before it starts getting torn apart a little bit, I thought I'd go ahead and make this video now so you can see how it is all set up. So for all my Catholic homeschoolers, this one's for you. Alright, so this is the Story of the Bible, Volume 1, the Old Testament. There's also a Volume 2 with the New Testament, and Tan Books also has a bunch of the story of curriculum. So this, like I said, is for the Old Testament. I have the audiobook, the storybook, the teacher's manual, and the activity book. There is also a test book and a video lecture series. I don't have either one of those things. What you see right here is what we will be using this year in our homeschool with my second grader and kindergartner. So I think the audiobook is like fairly self-explanatory. It's 7 discs. This really gives me like old school CD case vibes. I love it though. There is also a MP3 streaming download if that's more your speed, but I'm a little old school, so I did get the CD set. All right, so let's take a little look inside the storybook part of this curriculum. So the audiobook is obviously reading this to us if we choose to do that. I think we will be using that for the most part. My oldest and I like to follow along with the readings, so this is still good to have. I want to point out the imprimaturs. Us Catholics love our imprimaturs. And here's the table of contents. You can pause and read this for yourself if you'd like to see what each chapter is on. It looks like each of the chapters are somewhere in the 10 to 12, 13-ish page range. Some of them go up to about 15 pages, it looks like, and some of them, are a little less. But 22 chapters plus the introduction is a few pages. So there are some pictures throughout each of the chapters, and then there's also like subsections for the chapters, which will make breaking it up easier if you don't want to read the chapter in one go. So, like, here's chapter 1. So what I'm thinking is to probably break the chapters up into like a full week for each chapter and do readings on, say, like Monday and Wednesday with a couple of the activities, and then save Friday for the extra crafty type activities. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So the subsections will really help to break up the chapters, find a good halfway point. Okay, and then let's flip to the back. So after the last chapter, there are, let's see, that's the index. Okay, there's some maps at the end. So that's the index at the very end. Here's some maps, books of the Old Testament, and then this is part of the last chapter. So there you go. So let's take a little look inside the teacher's manual. This is where you're going to get just so many ideas. Again, it's the same layout, table of contents as the storybook. And then here we go. So this whole beginning section is all about how to use the teacher's manual, how to utilize the different sections of it. So again, you can kind of pause and read for yourself if you would like to do that. So each of the lessons has like a listening to God's word. There's questions for review. And this walks you through how to utilize this with older kids versus younger kids, some expectations you might want to have or not have, depending on the age of your kids. There are also narration exercises, map activities, and then you have all these different types of activity projects, coloring pages, word searches, crosswords, craft projects, snack projects, and science projects. Now, There is not one of these for every single lesson. It does explain that you have the listening part, the questions for review, and the narrations for every single chapter. And then for most of the chapters, you have a map activity and some coloring pages, 1 or 2. So there are 22 chapters. I went through and actually counted. Of the 22 chapters, 20 of them have map activities and 20 of them have coloring pages. So it's not the same, like the one that's missing an activity is not also missing a coloring page, if that makes sense. But not every single chapter, but most of them have map activities and coloring pages. And then depending on the chapter, you'll have some word searches and crosswords, and then these other projects, your extra crafty projects, as I would like to put it. And then over here, this is very valuable information, I think. 5 keys to making the most out of this teacher's manual. It does say, do not under any circumstances attempt to do all of the activities in this book. It is too much. It basically says, pick what serves you and your kids, what your kids would be interested in, what is doable for you, and disregard the rest. I love teacher's manuals that are like this, where they have so much in here, but honestly, even if you do the bare minimum, you're still getting so much out of it. So if we want to be crafty and do all those things, we can, but if we don't, that's okay. So here is all of the extra crafty projects and their materials. So if you're one of those people that likes to get everything at the beginning of the year, so you can count here. So this one has 3 for chapter 1. Actually, no, chapter 1 has 5 total projects. Chapter 2 has 4 to pick from. Okay, I'm not going to count the number for each one, but I'll just flip through so you can count for yourselves. So most of them have like 2 to 3. Some of them have a lot. So some of the activity projects have a template from the activity book. Others, you just, grab things from around your house or have to get things. Some of the chapters only have 1 craft project or activity. Just want to point that out. So it really just depends on the chapter, what you're going to be doing. So now we are into basically the first lesson, the introduction. The introduction lesson is not as long as the other lessons. It's quite a bit shorter, so you could probably just do it in a day. That's kind of my plan. Do this one in a day and then save the other chapters for like a full week is kind of what I'm thinking. So here's your listening to God's word. There's a Bible reading, questions for review after reading the introduction. You have a narration exercise and then a craft project. And that is in the activity book. Okay, let me pull that out for you. So the activity book is literally just the activity pages. There's nothing else in it. So right at the top, it'll tell you this is for the introduction. It's the craft project, the book of nature. So you could, and all the pages are perforated. So they're easy to take out, make copies of. And then we are into chapter 1. And it will tell you exactly what it is. So there's no confusion. If a bunch of your pages get ripped out, you'll be able to figure out what goes with what. So I'm not going to flip through every single chapter, but I did think that it would be wise to show you guys a few of the chapters just to see how they're laid out. They're all laid out very similarly. So here on chapter 5, reading a verse from Genesis, and then we have questions for review. So again, you want to finish reading the chapter first. Questions for review. There's a few of them. A narration exercise. Again, in the beginning of the book, it explains how you might want to do this with older or younger kids. Helping your younger kids, maybe having your older kids narrate their own. So, again, there are different ways to do these different parts of the lesson. And it does give you some good ideas at the beginning. So just so you know, don't be overwhelmed by some of the narrations if they're on the longer side. So we have a map activity here, some coloring pages. So I think these would probably be good to do while you're reading it with your kids, or to save it for like right after. So for like the coloring pages, you know, we're going to read half the chapter on Monday. We could do this one on Monday and then do this one on Wednesday is kind of what I'm thinking. Some of the chapters only have one coloring page, so, you know, do it however you want. So we'll have to just figure out how we're going to use this, but just some ideas for you if you're looking at this for the first time. Crossword puzzle, here's the answers for that. And then some craft projects to do. And then you're on to your next chapter. So let me show you guys the pages that go along with this in the activity book. Okay, so here are the chapter 5 pages. So we have the 2 coloring pages. So if you remember, there are 2 coloring pages for this one. So here's 1 and 2. And again, they're perforated. So I have 2 kids that I'll be doing this with, so I can easily take these out and make copies. Here is the crossword puzzle right here. This is one of the craft projects, making some spoon people. Here is your map activity. So we will definitely be utilizing the map activities for sure. And then here is chapter 6. So let's take a look at chapter 8. Again, same setup. So you're going to have a Bible reading here. You could use this for memorization if you want. You could make this, my kids are younger, so they're still getting used to like opening up the Bible and finding a Bible verse. So that's probably what we will be doing, is having them look it up themselves, figuring out how to count the verses, where those numbers are, what that all means. Then you have questions for review for after you're done with your readings, your narration exercise, map activity, 2 coloring pages for this one, and then your craft projects down here. This one you need to utilize some pages from the activity book, but these ones are just doing your own snack project here. So that's just from regular kitchen ingredients there. And then a crossword puzzle. So again, I want to show you guys the pages that go along with this chapter. So here's one of the coloring pages here, and it always tells you what page it is, so you're able to find it very easily. Here's another one, coloring page, that's this one. Then this is your craft project for this one. So this is 73 through 75 for this one craft project here. And then on the next page it had, or sorry, on the last page, it said there was a crossword puzzle. That's this one right here. And then your map activity. And then you're on your next chapter. So let's go ahead and take a look at one last chapter. Here's chapter 16. Again, listening to God's word, questions for review, narration exercises, a map activity, 2 coloring pages. This one has a maze. Here's a craft project, a second craft project, and a snack project. So here are the activity book pages for this chapter. Here's your 2 coloring pages. Again, they are written over here. Your maze right here. Your map activity, that was this section right here. And then already on your next chapter. So none of the craft projects needed extra pages here. So there you go. So I know I didn't show you guys every single page, every single lesson, but hopefully you were still able to get a pretty good idea of the layout, the overview, how the chapters are set up, just a good feel for this curriculum in this video. Like I said, we haven't used this yet, so if you have questions for me that you would like me to address in my review video, please leave those down below. If there's any questions that I can answer now, I will try to do that as well. If you have any video suggestions, if there's anything you would like to see in particular with this or any of my other curriculum, please leave those down below. I'm always open to whatever you guys want to see. So yeah, please just don't be shy. Leave me a comment down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys all in my next video real soon. Bye.